Alright, so these are my poems for the final part. So I'll just get right to it. For God. Nah, don't know why my voice was cracking there. For God, life is never ending, so bright, never flowing, and immortal, stuck in time, just waiting for it to end like the Christian apocalypse or the Nordic Ragnarok. For God, life is spent like a clock winding down slowly before you have to judge many people at one time, or just waiting for millennia so that the sun dims and the world becomes dark, cold, and desolate, only to save your beloved worshippers while everyone else is left damned and left to wander forevermore. The gods of ancient Greece and Rome were only corrupted by greed for power, beauty, or control. They only wanted their spot on the throne in Olympus. These conceited gods drove people who worked for their futures to death because of false claims of perfect eternity and godliness. The gods of Japan were even like the ones from Greece, vengeful and conceited. Izanami and Izanagi, mother and father to the younger immortals. Izanagi, too frustrated by the injuring of his wife for the birth of their child Kagetsuchi, the one he cut apart in his fit of anger. That action he created 9 more gods from his child, proving that they only live for eternity. You see, when I was younger, I wanted to be like those gods in mythology, to be the same as heroes from stories, thrown into the stars like mighty Hercules, or be so powerful that they would name planets after me, like Jupiter and Zeus. But then reality struck me. I was born a human being, top of the world over many other animals, only because we have the ability to reason. That thought grabs my mind and its imagination. If I could have the powers of a god, to have the strength of a hero from Greece or Rome, then back to reality, for that is silly and naive. Where I am a person struggling just to accept himself, and struggles within life are what we await in living for tomorrow and learning from the past, but without them we become conceited like the gods that planets are named after. That is a decision I would rather have than to live for an eternity like a god, because time is everything to man, but it's trivial for gods. We live our days in and out working for our own desires for the future and the unknown. This mentality keeps us alive for years, even through worry and grief or pain and sadness, to finally end with joy and bliss. But gods only work for praise, so I want to become not like a god, but the same man standing in front of you right now. I will strive to be the best human being that I can be, to help in any way that I can my neighbor, because a god can wait forever, but I can't wait for now. Second poem, Coin for the Ferryman, as prescribed by a Nickelback fan. I will keep 2 coins on me, first for my enemy, and then myself. But I may not know what to do when he comes. Though I know it's a coin for the ferryman, I can barely bear the burden of knowing that it would be the end of something or someone. The song plays on the radio as I drive down the highway, possibly doing 10 over, but I don't care, because the 2 coins in my pocket are calling my name, bruising my brain as I try to ignore their existence. And these 2 coins don't exist anymore, their names lost in time, but all the names of things that haunt my mind choose to update themselves to live throughout humanity. Words printed on my arms to describe what my existence is, though most are similar in meaning, they're just as demeaning, even if they were originally uplifting. Love turns into apathy, joy into extra weight, the rush of anger quelled until it resumes its ravenous torment upon itself. The words are sometimes blades piercing my skin and carving into it the symbols of a pained endurance to what could be called the human race. The crimson-colored persistence that draws about the future and focuses on the past, turning the word angel into one like Lucifer falling because of greed and pride. Though the pridefulness exists no more, and it's instead now a state of doubt thrust upon its face without any warning, and flares up like a funeral pyre. Within the pyre's slow death, the cogs of my mind reawaken, and I begin to realize that sleep had taken me from my manic depression without leaving itself behind, the 2 coins still burrowing themselves deeper into my soul. I stand and figure out the rest of the day in hopes the words don't come back to me, even though truth of it that the truth of it is that it's the I that gives the words armaments to use against myself, a self-destructive behavior that came from the seething abyss of nothingness, and now I know my enemy is inside me. So these 2 coins will wear me down till the day I cease to be, and the words continue to ebb and flow to new victims. Next poem is Artisans. I'm an artist, a painter of sorts, but the canvas I use, the tan color of my skin, the brush I use has too long felt like the dull edge of a blade. As we know, there are monsters in life. I know, it's sad, but true. These monsters start under our beds and soon bend their shapes to fit our heads. It's because of these monsters that I'm a painter, an artist of sorts. These monsters leave black ink on the tan canvas that I use. They tear through it to my very soul and haunt me till the day I die. These monsters are called secrets. They hide in any dark space. Many people have a light that dissipates the shadows in their soul, but any light has dimmed inside my mind since I was 3, too wise for a child, so I hid it in childish antics and playful words, gleeful smiles and fake laughter, because the secrets say to follow them. But I followed them for far too long. They showed me the world and people for whom they really are. But the blood from my hands could fill oceans. My life was a mask, and I was its puppet. The demons that turned to secrets from my past, the puppeteers running my life through life and thoughts like a masquerade, but slowly further I fell into darkness. Let's send you to hell! No, put him through it and hope that he dies. How about we curse him? How will we do that? We can give him an undying love for every part of God's creation, but make him hate his own self, and when his love increases, his self-loathing will grow with it. They spoke from the shadows, as they seemed to be trying to convince themselves as much as they convinced me. This curse, bound to my bones, tore me apart for 10 years. Bed screen. Tore me apart for 10 years. The beast under my bed created a deadly reality, one full of hidden emotions and scarred hands, where living became a struggle for survival or ending the sadness. Then the voices of the ones I cherished cried over the noisy secrets. Live, they cried, live for a future that you can create, live to prove them wrong, those heinous lies, for we are with you in mind, body, and spirit. So I'm a painter, an artist of sorts. The canvas I use no longer my skin, but the page. The pen is a quill instead of a blade, for I am a poet, an author, a storyteller. I am an artisan. Next poem is Labyrinth. Links, rechts, geradeaus. Ich kam hier nicht mehr raus. This is my labyrinth, the one I will never escape. My trap in prison, the id in my mind, the warden who are the key. The past of my family strewn out upon the table in front of me. German, Swedish, and Danish warriors, philosophers, poets, and carpenters. Their violent and peaceful blood running through the veins in this labyrinth I call a body. The thoughts of the id that frighten me are so full of lust instead of love, and destruction within corruption without human decency or kindness. So being chased by the most powerful part of my mind through the very veins where blood of rich violent heritage flows corrupts my thoughts and distorts my actions to the point where I don't think I deserve the friends I have. I want to escape. No, I have to escape. The will I have left can carry me to the one and only exit. This cracked, crooked thing I call a mouth, all efforts fail to lead me from my eternal cage, this labyrinth. The words I speak daggers, or the cold frozen winds from the cavernous holes within me, the impulses dragging my mind through minefields, only to find more tunnels into my own traps, devised to hold the id long enough so I can get far enough away. The bloodlines that flow in my veins, surrounding me, holding me down, punish me for running. They lock me back up in chains and shackles. The id finally catching up drags me back to the lair I call a brain, lost from my control due to the id's power. Again and again I am beaten and told by my ancestry that I cannot escape. Though I can clearly see the exit, I burst from my chains and break the shackles. I will not be a prisoner to my own mind. I will escape. I have to escape. Left, right, straight ahead. There's no way out. I'm dead. The next poem is 5 seconds till erasure. We have 1 second to build our walls, 2 seconds to paint our skin, 3 to fit right in, 4 seconds to hide the door, 5 to not care anymore, because at 5 seconds we break the walls, at 4 seconds we bleed and scream. 3 for that guy to pull his gun, 2 for the kid to slit his wrist, and 1 to be done. Next was retitled, actually. It is now The Withering of Sur Hawkwood the Deserter. I was part of a once mighty group of undead, taking up the torch in Sir Artorius' stead. Our caravan sought and defeated the abyss wherever it led. I abandoned the caravan before they became lords of cinders, and forged many friendships over the ages. Before the legion was formed and I was undead, a fierce warrior of sunlight following the firstborn of mighty Gwyn, who was soon abandoned and forgotten for opposing his father and fighting the archdragons. During this time, under the son of sunlight's rebellion and the battle with the archdragons, I made another friend, a mighty dragon slayer, who in your time is long dead, but his armor, in memory of their battles, continues to fight. Later I befriended a giant whose strength was unparalleled, but he lost everything he wished to protect by becoming a lord of cinder that you're bound to find and return to their thrones. He lives in his empty kingdom, having thrown away his shield and modifying his great machete, tormented by the past and his failures. One of my final friends was just like you, unkindled, and part of your age, and a member of the Sable Church. Sister Frida, rejecting your path, she left for the rotting painted world. I'm sure you'll see her before your time is up, and the flame linked. My final friend is as timeless as me. Originally he was undead and unkindled, destined to link the flame sometime after Lord Gwyn, but he didn't possess the metal for it. So he was granted place at the shrine to test the skills and strengths of those enkindled. When the bell is rung and the fire is faded, telling the story is the only thing that keeps me from fully hollowing or being swallowed up by the abyss I fought for years, ages, and will continue to try and fight. Oh, I know you. You're unkindled. I have many friends like you. Stay a while. I'll tell you a story of me and my hollowed friends. I was once a part of a mighty group of undead, taking up the torch in Sir Artorius' stead. And the final poem is For Man. I once said that for a god time was nothing, and for man time was everything. That the fleeting time humanity has alive is taxing and important to ourselves, but that is not the only thing that is alive within humanity. We built creations that were only speculated to have been made years ago. Our own existence began like the pygmies climbing out of the ground and the abyss that Manus dove into because of philosophically fighting with their gods. Now, the illusion that I made, that I just used, is not a normal one. It came from a video game, but honestly, it feels similar, where one person fell to darkness first and others joined. Though being a man or a woman is a difficult thing to prescribe to someone because there are many ideas on what they are. One thing that is easy to say about our race, the human race, is that we are trifling beings that try to argue against each other and make one better than the other. This false idea destroying our own sanity like the abyss with primeval man. I don't agree with the thought that anyone is born better than others. Maybe one can make themselves better, though they're never perfectly better than anyone at everything. A depressed thought, I know, because it means that there's always someone better than you. But it is also a driving idea that you can make yourself into what you see as the best person you can be, to quote my pastor. I believe that for man, or for humanity, the thought of time is necessary for our own existence because we have a set amount in our bodies. But the need for an idea that drives us to be better is a prescription that many desperately require. For man, time is fleeting and mind's fickle, but the heart dedicating to something. So here is one man who is deciding to dedicate the time he has to being the best version of himself that he can be.